Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Victoria County Municipal Council. I would like to acknowledge that we are, this meeting is being held in Unama'ki, one of 7 traditional districts of Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I would like to call this meeting to order. You've all been presented with an agenda. I'm wondering if there are any additions to the agenda at this time. If not, I would like an approval of the agenda. Moved by Larry Daphne,
Second.
seconded by Paul McNeil. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is the election of warden. This election is by the councillors present for the position of warden for a 2-year term. Any councillor is eligible for the office of warden, and the selection is by secret ballot. Should the council members be unable to agree on the choice of warden, then I shall determine the warden from the 2 leading candidates by lot as provided by the Municipal Elections Act, which means we pull it from a hat. I now declare the floor open for nominations. Are there any nominations for warden?
I nominate Councillor Bruce Morrison.
Bruce Morrison,
I
there-
second.
you second?
I second that.
Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Last call for further nominations. Can I now have a motion for nominations to cease?
For nominations to cease.
Second. Thank you. I now declare Bruce J. Morrison elected as warden for the municipality of the County of Victoria, and I would now ask him to come forward and take the oath of office for the position of warden. As the warden, okay, so you have to do the oath.
I, Bruce Morrison, do swear or solemnly affirm that I will be faithful, bear true allegiance to His Majesty, his heirs and successors according to law, and I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of warden in the municipality of Victoria County. And I'm sorry, that should be King Charles. Then we made a change on that, right? And I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I've been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability. And I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or undue execution of the duties of my office. Sworn by me or by you?
Thank you. Yep. So as the warden's first official duty, I would now turn the meeting over to the warden for the election of the deputy warden, also for a 2-year term.
Congratulations.
I now declare the floor open for nominations. Any nominations for deputy warden?
I nominate Larry Daphne to the position.
Moved by Councillor McNeil. We have a seconder.
I'll second.
Councillor Oregon. Any other nominations? Any other further nominations? Any further nominations? We have a nomination to cease. The nomination cease, please.
All right.
Thank you. It's moved by Councillor McLeod. Nomination ceased. Do we have a seconder, please? Second by Councillor Longa. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion's carried. And I now declare Larry Doffney elected as warden, deputy warden for the sorry. Turn the page. I would ask you now to come forward and take the oath to King Charles.
I, Larry Doffney, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles II, King Charles, I guess, his heirs and successors according to law, and that I am duly qualified as required by law for the office of Deputy Warden of the municipality of the County of Victoria. And I will truly, faithfully, and impartially execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, and that I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or other undue execution of the duties of my office.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, council, for providing us the opportunity to do another term of warden and deputy warden. And I will acknowledge the last 2 years have been difficult, particularly with COVID, particularly with hurricanes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been a challenge, and so we look forward to the next 2 years. And thank you on behalf of the deputy warden and I for your support last term and for this term as well. So thank you for that. So we've made a slight change in the agenda. We're going to move Terry up because Terry's traveled in. If that's okay with Jen, I guess it is. Thank you, Jen. We appreciate that. No. So we're going to turn it over to Terry Smith from Destination Cape Breton, and he's going to give us an update on the marketing levy. So over to you, Terry. If the green.
There we go. Well, thank you all. It's great to be here again. And I just want to let you know, I'm going to speak about the Cape Breton Island marketing levy, but we just had a change that happened last week, and I'll address that as well. But I thought it would still be of value to go through and give you this update. So we had been looking at a proposed amendment, and I'll walk through that. A little bit of background, the marketing levy. So it was legislated by the province in 2011 and then implemented by municipal bylaws in each of our 5 municipalities on the island. The bylaws are pretty much identical except for just changing the name of the municipality. Right now, there's a 2% rate that's charged on fixed roof accommodation stays at properties with 10 rooms or more. Longer term stays of 30 days or more, medical stays, students in dorms are all exempt from the levy. And the Act currently states that funds must be used to promote Cape Breton Island as a tourism destination. Around the time of the Act passing and the bylaws being put in place, there was an MOU established with all 5 municipalities that designated Destination Cape Breton to be the official agency to promote the island. So since that time, operators, those who are applicable to collect the levy, have been collecting. They remit the levy funds to their respective municipality. The municipalities then in turn provide those funds to us, and we use them to promote the island. In terms of the promotion of the island, I wanted to give you just a little bit of a look at some of the results that we've seen from the levy. So most of what we do these days from a marketing standpoint is all digital, and it's driving traffic to our website. And this chart shows it, a lot of contrast there, but the first 3 years we were marketing to the Maritimes only. And as you can see, there's a modest increase every year. In 2015, we started marketing to Ontario and Quebec. 2016, Northeast US. And you can see that the incline really took off when we started going to those markets. And I should just say that for the first 3 years, the levy was fairly new. The budget wasn't substantial. So the strategic decision was made to concentrate just on the Maritimes for the that term. But then as the levy grew, we were able to expand it. So that's in terms of marketing results, but converting to visits, how have we done in that time period? So from 2012, again, 2012 to 2014, you can see the first 3 years in terms of visitation to Cape Breton Highlands National Park. I should say the Cabot Trail is the #1 motivator of travel, not only to Cape Breton Island, but to Nova Scotia. But as the #1 motivator, we know that many of our visitors will be going around the Cabot Trail, the vast majority actually. So most of those visitors are going to purchase admission at the Cape Breton Highlands National Park. So it is a good indicator for us. So this chart shows you the green line is Ontario, the darker blue line is Nova Scotia, the lighter blue line is Quebec. And it just takes a look at those 3 key markets. There are 3 largest markets. And as you can see, the first 3 years, we see a modest increase, but we were focusing on the Maritimes only. And then again, 2015, we're marketing to Ontario, Quebec again. We start seeing strong growth there. I left out 2017 on this. That was the Canada 150 year where there was free admission to the national park. So it really skews the numbers, and a lot of that wouldn't be attributed to the levy. So it paints a different picture, but you can see that the growth really continued to the point where in 2019, the visitation to the national park from those 3 key markets was roughly double where it was in 2012. We also look at room nights sold, and this chart shows the green bars are licensed room nights sold in Cape Breton. Again, first 3 years, we're marketing in the Maritimes, modest increases. 2015, a little bit more of an increase. 2016 takes a really good jump. And then again, higher in 2017. When you look at 2018 and 19 in terms of licensed room nights sold, it looks like there's a decline there. But if you look at the blue bar down the bottom, blue bars, that's shared economy or mainly Airbnbs. And every year they've been rising in terms of their share of the accommodations market. So if you combined those with the licensed room nights sold, we would have seen increases in those years as well. So over that period, if we compare our growth, incremental room nights sold over the 2011 baseline, it more than doubled the province overall. So that's a strong testament to having the levy in place. And we estimate that the levy has a return on investment of $27 in visitor spending for every dollar that is collected. However, so our current situation, our ACOA funding, back when the levy was formed, there was an agreement that with Enterprise Cape Breton where they would match the levy revenues and provide that to Destination Cape Breton. That happened a couple of years, and then they said, "Okay, we've got to cap it at $640,000 a year," which they did, and it stayed that way. ECBC is closed. Their contracts are taken over by ACOA. Prior to them being closed, we had a new 3-year agreement. So ACOA honored that 3-year agreement. But then they signaled to us in 2019 that this was an agreement that no other destination in Atlantic Canada receives, and we're going to have to reduce your funding to be more in line with what they receive. But we're going to do it gradually, so it's not as painful, although $100,000 a year in cuts is for our organization, does have some challenges for sure. So it's reduced. This year, it's $440,000. Last year it was $540,000. Next year will be lower again, and then they said it will level off at $300,000 a year. So that's one challenge. As I showed you in the previous chart with the room nights sold, Airbnb and Vrbo rentals They grew from a standpoint where there were 7% of registered room nights sold in 2017, where last year they were 30%. And by and large, they don't collect any levy. There's few exceptions, but they would be very small numbers. So those factors, and then of course, the last 2 years we had the pandemic. So I didn't include any of those numbers because it really kind of paints a different picture. So we knew in 2019 that our co-funding was going to be reduced. There were some steps taken, and this actually, the first one started before 2019, but we used to have an office that we were actually renting from the federal government. When that lease was up, that office was closed. We moved into the former Visitor Information Center building in Sydney River to cut costs. We reduced staff. So in 2019, we had 11 full-time. We have 9 currently, and I have 2 on parental leave right now. So it's even more challenging this year. And we took some steps to achieve organizational efficiencies, really using technology as best as possible to work smarter. And as I showed you the results, and by the way, this year we're closing in on 1.3 million website sessions, which is last year it was a record, and we're blowing last year out of the water already. So it's continuing to go very well, the marketing program. So we're delivering strong marketing results despite the shrinking budget. So next year, our budget for marketing looking like it would be about 20% lower than it would have been pre-pandemic. So eventually, we've done all we think we can cut in terms of the operational side of things. Eventually, we start looking at cutting the marketing budget, as I mentioned. And although we're getting good results, it's going to come to a point where there's going to be a real challenge. So the marketing levy helped us have basically a decade of growth. But if we don't do something about this, we're headed for a cliff. So the board of Destination Cape Breton elected to do a revenue stream report. We hired a consultancy that works with organizations like ours across the country, and they took a look at our revenue streams, looked at what are some of the best practices with other organizations, and they basically recommended that we increase the marketing levy rate. And just a line from the recommendation: even without the current income stream challenge faced by Destination Cape Breton, there's a multitude of benchmark evidence to suggest that the current 2% levy places the region at a competitive disadvantage to many of its competitor destinations. And here's what they mean by that. So in this map, it shows levy rates across Atlantic Canada. So we're at 2% right now. Halifax is at 2%. In PEI, Charlottetown and Summerside have levies. They're both at 3%. In New Brunswick, Moncton, St. John, Fredericton are all at 3.5%. In Newfoundland, there's a small one in Gros Morne, that's 3%. And the highest in the region is St. John's, Newfoundland at 4%. And in 2019, the average levy rate in Canada was 3.43%. So we're not only the lowest in the region, we're amongst the lowest in the country. And we compete against all those other jurisdictions. So we took that recommendation and went out to operators and accommodation operators and did some consultations around the island back in the spring. And that included operators who currently collect the levy and some that are smaller and don't currently collect it. So we provided them with 3 options, increasing the levy rate to 3%. Halifax has also taken steps to move to that 3% rate. We estimate that this would add about $450,000 to our budget. So it should replace what we're losing from ACOA, but it doesn't address that, Airbnb and Vrbo are getting a higher share of the percentage. So it still could be in jeopardy. And then the second option was apply the levy to all fixed roof operators. So remove the 10 rooms or more threshold. And there's a question of fairness. You know, we have some communities where there's one accommodation operator that is charging the levy. And across the street, there's another that doesn't have to. So there's a question of fairness there. They all benefit from the destination marketing that happens as a result of the levy. We estimate this, and this would apply to Airbnb too, that we would get somewhere between 250 to 350,000 per year added to our budget. So it might replace what we're losing with ACOA, but you could argue that it also leaves money on the table if everywhere else in Atlantic Canada is 3% or higher. And then we asked them about combination of one or two. So the feedback, the vast majority of operators supported going to 3%, to increase the levy rate to 3%, but they were adamant that all fixed roof accommodations should collect, including Airbnb and Vrbo properties. And even many of the smaller operators that don't currently collect, they were saying, you know, we have no problem. We see the benefits and it's only fair. So it was great to see that. So they did say, you know, all the costs are rising these days for people. So and some operators said we've already quoted 2023 rates to groups and things like that. So don't do this right away. Let's look at January 1st, 2024 as a start date. A couple operators said, you know, it'd be great to have some flexibility so that you can work on other issues other than marketing, like the workforce shortage, which we're already doing. But they just said having the levy state that it is only for promotion of the destination might be a little limiting. And also it was mentioned at pretty much every session that Airbnb and Vrbo must be more regulated to ensure a level playing field and quality for guests, and suggested that we start the process now. That's a separate issue, but something that, you know, was very common at these sessions. So based on that, we were looking at doing a proposed amendment, and you're the fourth of 5 municipalities on the island that we presented to and talked about this. I've also talked to almost all of the MLAs who, regardless of party stripe, were all in favor of making a proposed amendment. And so we were going down the road of starting that process. And then the province, and they started this back under the previous government before the pandemic. They were looking at, because us at Halifax, we have the levies where we're 2%. Yarmouth had a small one where it's a $2 per night charge. Then Digby approached the province looking to put a levy in place. Lunenburg County was looking at one, Pictou County was looking at one, and they said, well, why do we have all these separate pieces of legislation? Why don't we look at what New Brunswick did and put rules in place, one piece of legislation that governs levies across the province. So we started hearing just back in the spring that they were thinking about doing this again, but we didn't know what the timeline was going to be for that. Well, they just introduced the legislation last week. So we were pretty happy to hear that they were moving forward with that. The good news with that legislation is it's very closely aligned to what we were going to recommend, as well as Halifax. So they're basically saying that it would be a percentage-based system, and up to a maximum of 3%. So, we were going to recommend that they give municipalities the power to make future rate changes. Well, they've basically said you can set the rate, but to a maximum of 3% is what they're proposing. We were going to recommend removing that 10 rooms or more threshold and adopting the Tourist Accommodation Registration Act definition of fixed roof accommodations, which would then apply to Airbnb and Vrbo properties. They didn't address that they've basically said, we'll leave that to the municipalities and they can establish those terms in their bylaws. And we're going to mention amending the funding to use destination marketing as well as destination management as well as marketing for the uses of the funds. We're not clear on where that landed, so we have to see a little bit, a draft of the legislation to see that. And then the start date of January 1st, 2024, they basically said as soon as the municipality establishes, once this passes the legislation, they said as soon as a municipality passes a bylaw for this, that it could go into effect then. So it could happen sooner, but in respect of what we heard from operators, we are going to recommend that we stick with that January 1st, 2024 date. So my request to council would be that, and we can come back and address this. It would be wise for the 5 municipalities to again adopt a consistent levy bylaw for all 5. So that's one thing that I think we have to look at. But my request, though, would be that you would support moving forward with what we had proposed, the 3% levy, and then removing the 10 rooms or more threshold, adopting the Tourist Accommodation Registration Act definition of fixed roof accommodations. So those 2 things in the future bylaw would be fantastic to have included. But I think for consistency, we really need all 5 municipalities to be on the same page with this.
Great. Thank you, Terry. We're going to open it up to questions if you don't mind. Councilor McNeil, any questions or comments in regards?
Thanks, Warden, and thanks, Terry, for the presentation. I'm just wondering with the Airbnb and Virgo, did Destination Cape Breton put out a survey to the operators asking their what they think about an increase or a levy
To
towards them?
Airbnbs specifically?
Yeah.
We don't have all of their contact information, so we can't do that. Some of them that would be registered with the province, we would have reached. So no. We did put out another opportunity based on the feedback we received. We went out to accommodation operators and said, here's a report on the summary of what operators told us in all of these meetings. Here's what we're proposing, and gave them a final option to submit any further feedback to us. We only had 3 submissions, so it was pretty much aligned with what we were recommending. So I think the accommodation operators that showed up at our sessions were they seem fairly united on in terms of the direction. But no, in terms of Airbnb, I can tell you that this is they are benefiting from the destination marketing that we do for sure, and I think the sense from the operators, it was the other operators that are currently collecting, is that they're feeling that they're getting more of the business, they're seeing it, so they should be contributing to this as well. So that's, I think, a pretty common sentiment.
No, I totally agree. But we're seeing an up in the Airbnbs around, especially around District 1 and down through Cape Breton County, down Shenandoah and Big Beach area too. So I was just wondering what effects that would have on them. So, okay.
So that's that, and I think based on the feedback from the operators that there needs to be better regulation. That's something that I think at some point we'll talk to the municipality, see if there's an appetite for doing that. That we think that would be very beneficial moving forward.
Thank you.
I've had some anecdotal discussions with people that I know that have Airbnbs, and they basically said, we have no problem collecting. So,
Thank you, Councilor McNeil. Deputy Warden.
Yes, thanks, Terry. Excellent presentation as always, and totally agree with your presentation. I believe going up to 3% makes a lot of sense. We're definitely the top island in North America, so maybe we should be the highest. But anyway, 3% I'm quite happy with. Still disappointed with the province. Back last year, they said by the spring of 2022, they'd come out with new regulations for short-term rentals, and this is the first I heard of them doing anything on it. So it's kind of disappointed that they didn't make the decision to remove the 10-room threshold instead of putting it back on the municipalities. But I was contacted by CBC this week to talk about short-term rentals, just off base on it. And they said on their research that there was 400 and some Airbnbs in Victoria County operating at this time, and only 200 and some are registered. So it's definitely grown, and I know in our area we've seen it grown a lot. But and I agree that they are getting the benefits of the marketing also. So I'd love to see it go that way. But once again, thanks very much for your presentation. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. Councilor McLeod.
Thank you, Terry. Great information. No questions at this time. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Patterson.
Thank you, Terry. Just a question, maybe I missed it. Your proposed amendment, eliminating the 10 room and so on. Do you have a figure of how much extra that would bring in revenue?
Yeah, with the two, it's probably 600,000 to 700,000. So
Okay,
it replaces what we're losing,
From
but
McCall.
also
Yeah.
allows some for growth
Yeah.
as well.
On the Airbnb question, I spoke to a couple of operators in my community and they have no problem with it. Would the average be somewhere around $100 for an Airbnb or some more expensive? I know some of them are 85 and, some of them are more expensive than that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It would really range.
Yeah.
It ranges
But
from-
anyway, it's not a huge amount of money. $4 or $5 at the maximum probably on each night to stay if you gave it to or charged them or whatever. And I think I myself, and I think most people, you go on vacation, you're not going to quibble over $5. I mean, what's the difference kind of thing. So the operators would pass it on to the customers, and that's the way it should operate. I guess.
It's the visitors. that
Yeah.
pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. The other part is though, the delinquent operators. Do we have any notion of how much is not coming to the municipality, I guess, and then not going to you? And if we do have that amount or do we have any way of enforcing it or gently nudging them to pay their bill or whatever?
Well, we've started, and Leanne would be aware of this. We've got a pilot project that we're just starting, and it was something that we were going to start before the pandemic happened, and then we put it on hold because the last thing operators needed was to be pestered about the levy during the pandemic. But now that we're getting beyond that, we've started a process. We call it an levy education program, where it will be monitoring the collection and sending reminders of operators to get their payment in and that sort of thing. It's in terms of anyone delinquent, like all that program would do would be like going back to the municipality and providing the information. It's up to the municipality to do any kind of enforcement work with operators.
Showed for every $1, there's $27 of recovery or spin out, whatever you want to call it. I mean, tell an operator that they should say, they should get the wallet out, right? Because they should be paying, because they're benefiting from that.
Yeah.
Their business is benefiting.
If they're collecting it, then it's just like if they were collecting HST. It's in trust for what they, yeah.
Thanks, Harry, for the great numbers there of people coming to our beautiful island. So now maybe you can share your numbers with Public Works so they can get the Cabot Trail paved and ditched. Would be great. Public Works, are you listening? But yep, thanks for the information.
Counselor Longva.
Mhm. Thanks for the great presentation and for coming. Yeah, so I have a business on the trail, as you know, and the last 2 years, your marketing is doing very well because it's the busiest in 28 years. The last 2 years have been the busiest.
Really?
Yeah, after COVID by big time. Like, it's amazing. I've seen like roadblocks on the Cabot Trail, like on the look-offs. Like, I've never seen that many people, like as there is. I mean, this year it was a little different because of that hurricane scared people and they didn't come as much, but still I had a fantastic fall up from other years. But when you go to other provinces, you see like these pull-off rest spots with washrooms, with garbage cans. So all the operators in my area anyway are having people dropping off the garbage. When they put locks on their boxes, then they just pile the garbage on top of the boxes. And now they've started dumping it off of Smoky at the look-off there. It's really bad, the amount of garbage that's coming. So I just wonder with this money, or if Destination Cape Breton, because you promote the island and the province promotes the island, it's the biggest draw is the Cabot Trail. If they could lobby the government for more money to put into that, to help out with washrooms and with garbage cans.
Yeah, yeah, and I know there's a program for washrooms that you guys have been working on. I'm not sure where that stands, but that's desperately needed. Just so you know, in our 2030 strategy, one of the recommendations talks about treating the Cabot Trail as a premier experience. It's not just another provincial road. It's our number one motivator of travel to the island. So I had sent an email to Keith Bain recently and raised some tar and gravel kind of sealing that they were doing.
Yeah.
I think that was on the North Shore. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the response back from Public Works was that's an acceptable method of protecting the pavement. And what I said to Keith was, when it comes to the Cabot Trail, acceptable is not good enough. It's got to be the absolute best. Like that's like, it's not just another road. It's a tourist draw. And I could go on about roads, but anyway, I know that the Public Works has had difficult challenges with storms over the last few years, but I think that we definitely have to reinforce, whether it's garbage, whether it's road conditions, the message has to be getting through to the provincial government that the Cabot Trail needs to be treated as the amazing draw that it is.
The chip and seal remedy broke almost every windshield on the North Shore and north, and our development officer could tell about her new car, what happened to it on a trip to Ingonish after that happened. I mean, they did clean it up, but now there's no markings on the road. It's like, and it's been raining, so it's like black and dark and you can't see.
And what'll happen, because I live in Marion Bridge, and on my highway, they did that about 7 or 8 years ago. And because it's basically tire traffic that flattens it, and you end up, when it's raining, that you've got grooves in the road that collect all the rain and make it a hazard to drive on. So anyway, that should never happen with the Cabot Trail.
Yes, we have grooves now too. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Thanks, Terry.
a little bit off track from the levy, but
Yes,
we're all passionate about that one, I think.
we're allowed to vent in
Yeah.
council. Yeah. I know CAO has a question for you, Terry.
Yeah, and just one other one. I think we're going to rename our Public Works Department because we are not paving the roads at this point. So we may have to remarket our Public Works Department. Just a question. When this goes through, just looking on the administration side, I'm assuming that it would be Airbnb that would be collecting the levy and remitting it to us?
So that will be the ideal situation. There are some hoops that you have to jump through. So I've been talking to Charlottetown about that because they're a little bit ahead of us. They, just like us, they had a 10 rooms or more threshold and removed it a couple of years ago. And they're now going through the process of getting a short-term rentals bylaw passed. What they were told by Airbnb is we want to see that you've got what they say, a modern short-term rentals bylaw, because Airbnb feels like their brand is tarnished when there are issues being caused as a result of too many Airbnbs or whatever might be the case. So there are many jurisdictions around the world, but primarily in Canada, in Ontario, there's probably there's about a dozen jurisdictions that they have it set up with Airbnb, where Airbnb does the collecting and remits it. That's where we need to get to. That solves any kind of enforcement on those operators. So and it's an administrative help for them as well. So we'll aim to get there as soon as we can.
A comment from me, Terry, and you've heard me speak to this before. It's about the collection of delinquent accounts under the new bylaws. Is there a way to address that? I mean, there's no gain for us to collect the tax. It costs us money to pay staff to collect it, et cetera, et cetera. And I just don't see it as being our responsibility to go after delinquent accounts. Is there any bylaws out there that deal with that?
That's something we can look into.
Yeah. I think it's a question of discussion. I really do. I mean, the operators are collecting from the customer. They're remitting it here. And if they don't pay it, then it's an issue. So anyway, and I don't think it's our responsibility to go back chasing people for that money. We didn't collect it, so why should we have to go back and try to get reimbursed? So anyway, I'll leave that with you if you would look into it. So I think you had two recommendations today that would be in agreement of raising the levy, marketing levy from 2% to 3%, and that this would be in there'd be no restriction on or of 10 or more. It would be right from one room up.
Yeah, what I'd suggest though is that council can deal with that at a later, like a new bylaw is going to have to be drafted, and so you can deal with that at that time. You don't have to do a motion for this. This at this point is for information.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I would assume it will be some type of standard bylaw if we're trying to get all the municipalities on the same page. So I think you might be trying to say possibly that we're in agreement with what your amended proposals are there.
yeah, I didn't know if you wanted them specifically to those two, but it's to an amended generic bylaw.
Right.
Okay, so and we would need a motion to that effect.
We accept the two recommendations as presented by Destination Cape Breton.
So it's moved by the deputy warden, seconded by
Second it.
Councillor Longval. All in favor? Contrary minded?
Question, Warden, no, back to what Terry said earlier about the province possibly enacting legislation to cover it across the province. So would it then be not just a Cape Breton bylaw, but a kind of a province-wide bylaw? But I guess we could do what we did today and then fit that in if we have to, Terry, yeah.
The legislation will state that each municipality will have to have a bylaw.
Just state that, okay. Yep.
Okay, you're clear on that now, Councillor? Okay, all in favor of the motion? Contrary minded? Motion's carried. Thank you very much for your presentation today,
Thank you
sir.
very much.
All right. So our next presentation, we welcome Jen Ripley from Victoria County Home Support Services, and she has a short presentation she's going to take us through. Welcome, Jen. We'll just give you a few minutes to get set up. That's my understanding, yeah. How are
Thank
you?
Council, I do promise it will be short. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with everyone today on this balmy summer day. I'd like to first start off by thanking you for the support you've given so far to Victoria County Home Support Services and our Meals Plus program. So my objective today is just to give you a quick update about our program, but more importantly, I'd like to share some information on an opportunity that has come to to the forefront through the establishment of our program. So just as I guess, a quick refresher about what is Meals Plus, it's a program that's currently only offered to home care clients, and it's to home care clients that receive meal preparation services. Our program is in its second year, and right now we're basically just solidifying the relationships that we've been building with local grocers and with our volunteers. So the program itself is a bi-weekly delivery. We deliver every other Thursday. Basically, it's a curated grocery package of fresh items. So you're always going to see a protein, a fresh fruit or veg, a grain, and by popular demand, a homemade sweet. We deliver those through a network of staff, volunteers, grocers, and Victoria County Transit. And then those groceries are prepared in the home by a continuing care assistant. So what we've seen so far over the last year and a half is really positive results. We're seeing happy clients, we're seeing happy staff. There's discussions about the importance of nutrition on healthy aging. And it's really providing this preventative lens to healthcare and to nutrition. The home delivery has been a good aspect. Participation is being tracked through our database. And overall, in talking with clients, we're seeing an increased quality of life that they're experiencing. So just to give you an idea of the logistics that go into one of our single visits on a delivery day, in terms of budget, we spend $30 per person per order. Right now, we have 22 clients that receive the Meals Plus program. Each week, that involves 7 volunteers or businesses, because I'd like to give a hats off to our grocers at Central Co-op in St. Margaret's Village and the Cabot Trail Food Market, who do the deliveries themselves. Currently, we're in 8 communities across 7 districts, and we work with partnerships with 5 different grocers. So the biggest opportunity that we've seen that's come to light for us is we've observed that there's a need for Meals Plus beyond home care, that a proactive approach to healthy aging is needed, and that nutrition plays a really key part in this. To this end, what we've been thinking about is that there could be a benefit to a community branch, a community program of Meals Plus. So if this was ever something that council wished to explore, a municipal Meals Plus program for community members, Victoria County Home Support Services offers the use of our existing infrastructure and our staffing to implement this on your behalf. So what would that look like? So some general ideas on what this could look like for you is if you wanted to start with a 4-month trial. There's some proposed dates there, but with some of our other pilots, we found being representative across all the districts is a great approach. But ultimately, if it was a municipal program, it would be yours to decide, and you would also decide your own eligibility factors. Based on our current capacity, probably the pilot could only be for about 12 older adults that are not currently clients. That will help us build up a capacity and additional volunteers. With the inclusion of community members, you might want to look at a pickup option as well, instead of always focusing on home delivery. Because these would be community members, it would be the curated grocery list, same as what we're already doing. And we could maybe include a recipe card similar to HelloFresh or any of these other businesses that are out there, but it wouldn't include the meal preparation, as that's a part of home care. From a budget perspective for you, that would be for those 12 people, about $2,880 for the 4-month pilot. If you found that that was something that was effective for you, and that through evaluation, which we'd be happy to assist with because we do evaluations through our own volunteers and different surveys of stakeholders, you could expand up to about 50 community members. Again, adding that pickup option would be a key component if that was something that you were interested in. And to give council an idea, if you did an annual budget for 50 people of food only, it would be about 39,000. So I'm probably on one of these minority groups that doesn't actually have a request for you. I have no request, but this is just something that has come to our attention as a need for Victoria County. And if this is something council would like to pursue, Victoria County Home Support Services is here to support you do that. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, some of us had the opportunity to see the presentation before, and it kind of spurred our interest about potentially being a partner, or at least have come to council and see if there is interest on council from council to see if they want to participate in this particular program. So with that, I just want to open it up to some questions and perhaps start with you, Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Warden. Thank you for your work, Jen, because I think this is an issue that's been discussed for a long time, and you know, we're finally seeing a path clear, I guess, to take some action on it. Interestingly enough, at our cooking class at Bulladry yesterday, we had a discussion about this very topic, and we are looking at possibly modifying our model where people come to the cooking class of us or a group doing the cooking and sending the meals out to individuals, which is a departure from what we've been doing. There's funding available through the New Horizons grants, which I believe are due October 30th.
November 1st, I'm sorry.
November 1st, Jennifer, that's right. So if anybody wants to look at that, or there's a group in their district that wants to look at that, that's an option. Through the Department of Seniors in Nova Scotia, I'm sure there's some opportunities there for funding. Councilors have district budgets, which maybe anyway, you know, if we wanted to start a pilot project in our own area or whatever. So again, I think this is kind of spurring us on to take some action, which will benefit our seniors. And thank you very much for leading the way in this, Jen.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Organ.
Thanks for the presentation. Is it only for seniors, or do you do disabled people too? I mean,
You're absolutely right, Councillor Organ. It's for home care clients. So whoever's been authorized to receive home care by continuing care, and if they receive meal preparation, those are our current eligibility requirements.
you said you had 22 clients right at the moment.
Yes.
How many more could you possibly add? Like, is it a huge number that?
We would want to build capacity first before growing, but I see lots of potential for growth. So we have found the number fluctuates between 20 and 25 comfortably as clients come in and out of care. But if we were to look at growth, we would, for example, it would be an investment into volunteer recruitment, and looking at, I think, the pickup option would help. So there's various things to look at, I think, to determine how quickly we could grow, but there's room for growth.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for coming and for your presentation. So the number 22, is that all across Victoria County?
It is actually, if you'd like a breakdown, we have St. Margaret's Village, Dingwall, South Harbor, Ingonish Beach, Rec Cove, North River, Bullardry, Ross Ferry, and Bedeck and Big Bedeck currently served.
Okay, and how did you arrive at 22 clients? What's the eligibility criteria to arrive at that number?
It's open to all of our home care clients who receive meal preparation. So,
Okay.
and that number is determined by the authorization of continuing care, who they deem as requiring that assistance.
Mhm.
But if a municipal, or not even municipal, a community branch were to be open for anyone who is not a home care client, that's where we see need as well for people who are not currently home care clients. So we just wanted to share that is a need.
Yeah, and I think that like nutrition, it has to start in the school in grade primary. Like when I've been to the cafeteria in years gone by, like it's French fries and, you know, this kind of like in the cafeteria, which I just think if you're trying to promote healthy eating, that it should be in the cafeteria too at schools and not like really unhealthy choices. And I love Fraser's idea the cooking classes and then, yeah, giving meals to the
Mm.
seniors.
Yeah, perfect.
Anyway, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Did you have a question before we're just going to work our way around, Jen, just so you know.
Yes, oh, I do. So who would make these meals for, you noted 4 volunteers. So are we getting the volunteers or is?
No, if a community program wanted the assistance of home support, we would use all of our infrastructure to help support that. So it would not include though the meal preparation done by CCA. So this would be for a target group that's maybe older adults, but still fairly independent and wanting to take a proactive approach to their nutrition and maybe ensuring that they're getting those fresh ingredients, ensuring that they're maybe getting a bit of stimulation and education on how to prepare them. So it would be for a different demographic than home care entirely.
Councilor McLeod.
Thank you, Jen, for the presentation. So with the $2,800 they're asking, that will be for new 12 clients, right?
Correct.
And will any clients either just for, they don't use the home support right now? That
Correct.
will be like a pilot.
Correct.
Okay. No, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a need of some seniors. They're isolating and they don't feel like they want to eat or go to the groceries. And, having that pushing eat healthy, I think is a great value. And of course, with the support of you guys, you know what they're doing, right? So, it's excellent. Thanks.
Thank you.
Deputy Warden.
Thanks, Jen, for the presentation. It's great to see that this is actually happening and it's going on. I've heard a little bit about it, but it'd be great to add more people to it. I'm just going through my mind here, thinking of residents in my district that I know would really appreciate it. And I'm sure there's lots that would. Again, it comes down to the volunteers. I'm just trying to think of a group that would have the time to do it. The biggest thing right now is I find volunteers are getting burnt out and the same ones over and over, but I'm sure we could probably find some people to take it on.
And you're right, and I apologize. I should have understood. I think that's what the CAO was asking as well, and I missed that. We would use our volunteers, and I agree with you. And what we found is by sticking with a biweekly delivery, we're able to only ask of once every 1 or 2 months, one afternoon of an individual.
Exactly.
So I completely agree. Our ratio is no more, our average ratio is 1 volunteer to 3 deliveries in their neighborhood.
That's not
So
bad.
I
Yeah.
completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Taking care of our volunteers is crucial.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
But no, great program, and I can really see some use for it. And like I say, I know a number of residents would love to see it. So thanks very much for bringing it to our attention. Appreciate it.
Councilor McNeil.
In your list of communities that I didn't see any towards the Iona area, like, is that because people opted out of the program or they didn't want to participate in it or?
Correct. We were serving your district for a time, and we currently have no clients in our care that are receiving the program.
Okay.
But as soon as there would be, absolutely, we would restart that in your
There
area.
is that possibility that they can
Absolutely,
join at
yeah.
any time. Okay, no, thank you.
Couple of quick questions if I could, just more of a comment. So there's no financial threshold if this was opened. You wouldn't have to be a minimum amount of income in the house?
That we, if you were to do a community program, that would be up to council to decide.
Okay, which is good to, because I'm thinking, and we had this conversation that, the demographic is probably an older, single individual that's at home, and it's a way of providing healthy food. And even though at $30 per person, that might serve 2 or 3 meals for that individual. So it's,
Mhm.
from a cost perspective, it's 1 meal is not $30. It could be $15 or $10, just depending on how many meals they get out and how many people that they are serving. The other thing that I would just want to mention very quickly, so if we were interested, who would you talk to and with the municipality, or the municipality as council have an interest in taking a look at this particular program? We'd be looking at adding, I think you had mentioned as a pilot project, 12 people across the municipality, 4 months, it would cost $2,800. And the benefits would be to anybody in Victoria County who wants to access the program.
But just so we're clear, I think you're just coming forward with your success story of how it's worked for you guys.
Correct.
And you're bringing this idea to here
Correct.
where this could be a cost, but we'd run it.
Okay,
So
Yes.
somebody here would run it.
And we could facilitate that if you needed the infrastructure. You could provide the funding and we would just implement it for you, more in a collaborative spirit, because I feel our mission and mandate is in line with the municipality in supporting our residents. So it would just be a support, an offer of support. And then you're correct, the numbers are just to give council an idea on if you decided to do it, that was what it would be if you followed our model.
Right.
But there's absolutely no obligation.
Thank you.
Warden, what might I suggest, though, that we try to encourage community groups to kind of take the lead on this? Because for a couple of reasons, I don't know if we need the extra work that would have to be done here as the council or administration. And secondly, those groups know their community. They know that Mary down the road, would probably appreciate this or whatever. And the other thing, Jen, the $30 that the warden just mentioned, are the clients charged that?
They are
Right.
not. It
They're
is
not,
fully
no.
subsidized.
Yes, fully subsidized. Okay, and that's
Correct.
what your intention, I'm sure, would be too, for any other programs that might start, that they would be, like I said earlier, through applications for grants or whatever, wherever the money can be found.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I love your approach, Counselor, that there's many different ways this could happen. I think just as a municipality, as our communities, if we're just aware that this is a need, and there's ways to make it happen. So,
Yep, thank you.
thank you.
okay, any other questions or comments? We're going to take your presentation under advisement and we'll have discussion later and we're not going to make a decision today, but we'll just get a chance to digest the information that you provided today. And if we decide to follow up, we'll be in touch.
Absolutely happy to support any other way.
Great, sure.
Nope, not at all. Our funding is secure at least through till spring of 2023, and we'll be continuing on maintaining our own program. So we'll be here if you ever need us. We're here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to move on to the minutes of April 4th, council session. Those minutes been circulated to you. Were there any errors or omissions in the minutes of council session for October 4th, 2022? We should have referenced this afternoon that Councillor McDonald is away today, and he has sent his regrets well in advance of the council session. So with that, October 4th, those minutes, if there are no errors or omissions, we have a motion to accept the minutes as circulated, please. Thank you. That motion. Thank you, Councillor Longo, seconded by
Second.
Deputy Warden Daphne, all in favor? Contrary minded, the motion is carried. The minutes are approved. We're going to move on now to the CAO's report, please. Leanne?
Yes, thank you. So as noted in the minutes, I wasn't at the last meeting, but I listened on the live stream. And so I just have a few things just to come from that and from the meeting prior to that. So council had a meeting with NSHA last Thursday. I'm sure it will be brought up in probably the warden's district concerns or his report back. We have a meeting set up on October 27th on the North Shore to discuss a potential washroom idea collaboration in that area. We have sent some UARB responses in for the water rate study. And we have also sent a request off to the UARB to have approval for smart meters and for water tank replacement in Dingwall, two projects that are much needed within the water utility, and they have to be approved by the UARB before they can be included in the rates. We are trying to schedule a meeting for mayors and wardens island-wide. And actually, there's a meeting going on today with a few of the municipalities around the county administrative staff, discussing some potential island-wide shared services. Just another note that we are in a project of end-of-life fishing gear, and there's free drop-off for end-of-life fishing gear until the end of March at both of our sites. There was a question related to road signs, and there's been lots of discussion on road signs. Who puts them up, who pays for them? I think we need to talk about what council wants to do on that. We did some research and it's kind of 50-50 on both things, on who puts them up and who pays for them. Some municipalities around the province have the residents who are on those roads pay for the signs. Some, it is the council that pays for it. Others also take the sign, give it to the residents on that road and have them put it up. Some rely on TIR, Public Works, to put the sign up, and some ask their own Public Works staff to put it up. So I'm just looking for possibly some thoughts on where you're at related to that. Private roads, yes, private roads. Yeah, when there's a name change on the roads or anything like that. So currently, council has paid for the sign to be put up, and I think it's been differing on who puts the sign up. Does council have any preferences of how it's done? If it is the residents that put the sign up, purchased by the county, or I guess there's two parts to this question. Do you want the county to continue paying for those private signs on those roads? And then the second part of that, once the sign has been purchased, does council want to request TIR to put the sign up? Do they want the residents on that private road to put the sign up, or do they want our staff to put that sign up? So
I think for consistency, we should have, maybe we should pay for them because, just so they're consistent throughout the county. And because if residents are required to put it up, we really have no control, the size of the sign. And
so are you talking paying for the sign?
I think we should pay for the signs, yeah.
So yeah, you have been paying for the signs to
And
this
then I
point?
think Department of Transportation should put them up though, too. Because they know the proper height and all that,
Yep.
all the requirements for them.
Yep,
That's
so.
that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, so now council's discussion could come in here on this, and we come up with based on that, we can come up with a policy of how it works.
Yeah, because I think when you want to put a sign, and you go with the TR, you have to apply, you have to fill something to TR have to authorize if it is okay, right?
Correct, yes,
Before
that's
they
to have
put
the
it-
name changed. Yes,
Or, yeah, because I remember we put some of the children's playing, and he will need to know exactly where we were, and they have to say yes or no. That's the last decision. They have the last decision. But they don't install the signs.
they won't,
They won't.
okay.
Yeah, so it have to be either,
And also note, like, if you're requiring the Public Works, the provincial Public Works to put that up, it's gonna take a while.
yeah, but they don't, and Ms. Chief
Right.
was saying they don't.
Oh, yes,
As far as installation, I can't see our crew doing it because, again, I need to know the library. I don't know, and as far as GRI, we may never see something.
Councilor McNeil, comments?
Yeah, just one more comment. Like with the erection of the sign, like we provide the sign, but we also provide the 4x4 posts. Because I've been asked by a number of residents about sign, well, like, we gave them the sign, but how are they gonna put it up? So, would we supply those 4x4 posts for them?
This is it. This is,
Private road, right?
Yeah, it's
Private
private
Yeah, it's
roads.
a private road. So I think the other just item I would add to that, if I could, is that it's not like we're overwhelmed with name changes and signs, so we're probably at most buying 5 or 6 signs a year at most, so it's not like, I don't think it's a cost issue, so I think we can provide the sign. If it's a private road, I think it should be the responsibility of the individuals to put them up, and if they have to find out how far they, as Councilor McLeod says, if there's limitations or regulations where they can, that's their responsibility. We're just providing the sign and the post, I guess, and then they can install and they take the liability for it because it is a private road. We're not going to take liability for the installation of signs on private roads. I would agree with. Go ahead.
I agree. I think we should buy the sign, and as far as the residents, if it's a private road, they install it themselves. But I don't even think we should provide the post because depending on how do you know which is the right size
Yeah.
post? You know, it could get very expensive and it's really
Yeah.
wide open. I think our part is providing the sign. and the
Provide
other
sign.
50% and the other
Great.
part is for the residents.
Yeah. And then there's no disagreement. Here's your sign. Yep. Anybody else want to weigh in it? We provide the signs and the rest will be the responsibility of the applicant. Does that give you enough direction to go on?
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
Yep.
Good
Great. So
job.
we'll come up with a policy or standard operating procedure around that.
Great. Thanks.
Great, that's great. Just another point, we will be coming forward with some municipal boundary review recommendations. We have to get that off to the UARB and soon. So we will be coming forward with some, might be a couple of areas of change for.
Excuse me, is the URB going to hold a hearing here? Do you know? They did last time, didn't they?
We haven't made an application yet, so
Oh, you
I
have to
don't
make the
know.
application
No.
first.
So we have to, we're
Okay,
coming forward to council to give the recommendations of what we
Mhm.
heard related to our public review, and we'll be bringing that back to council. Just a couple of other things. So our financial statements need approval. They needed approval as of the end of September, but we're a bit behind on that. So we'll be having a meeting October 19th, a virtual meeting related to that. So I'm in the finance department here section related to some things here. We will be having our next tax sale November 22nd at 11 a.m. I believe my report that I sent out said PM. That'll be a late night. So it'll be 11. Yeah. In our Public Works Department. So the groundwork has been done, Paul, for the second production line in Little Narrows. So we've gone forward with that. So it's the groundwork is on its way or is there. That will be going into production in the near future. Lester Tingley is going to be completing the survey for the White Point property. And we are also in the process of the environmental assessment in that area. So all that's in the works. Meter reads for water readings are ongoing for this quarter. So people may be seeing water utility people at different times. Those readings are ongoing. We did extend the post Fiona storm debris acceptance until October 15th. So that is closed as of last week. We also put a tender out for scrap metal recycling. This week, right now, is Waste Reduction Week. And so we are going to be hanging some green lights outside the courthouse. This has been requested by Divert Nova Scotia. So we will be having some green floodlights to promote Waste Reduction Week. So everyone, please try to reduce your environmental footprint. And we will be putting out a tender for snow removal for the north facilities. In senior safety. So senior safety has requested a change for the eligibility for the disaster financial assistance that the province had announced post tropical storm Fiona. There was something related to receipts. If there was it might have been an arborist, an actual arborist that was needed, or a landscaping company for the receipt to come from. I believe we've heard back that if it is a receipt, they will accept that. It doesn't have to be from an arborist. If there's anybody who, any seniors who were concerned with that piece of it and not putting in their receipts. So I encourage everyone to put in your financial assistance application for disaster relief. She is also working on possibly putting together a vulnerable persons registry. We saw that this might be something happening a little bit more based on the post-tropical storm that happened or the hurricane that happened, and trying to find out the ins and outs of what this might involve in doing a vulnerable persons registry. The RCMP and Cassandra will be doing a scams and frauds presentation at a few places around the county, helping out with seniors or making them more aware on scams and frauds. She also attended a muffin session at St. James Presbyterian Church in District 5, and she said it was very well attended. She has some concerns that the fare assistance program related to Victoria County Transit is not being used as well as we would like. So we have some administrative staff who have formed a subcommittee to try and get more usership out of this program and try to define what the application process is related to that, which is not really an application, but we're trying to make it more user-friendly. She's also working with the library on a binder for seniors that will help them complete applications and helping them to actually fill out the applications for several different things that are available. She's working with our active living and recreation departments on doing a resource mapping database for seniors. She's also working with the food hub related to something that Fraser or District or Councilor Patterson was talking about the kitchen. I think the rental of the kitchen at the food hub to see if they can rent out the kitchen for a day a month for seniors for healthy meal preparation. And that could possibly be a New Horizons grant also, or it could be a combination of what we just saw the presentation on. Couple of things in tourism and recreation. So Dan's department, they visited several tourism providers on the North Shore for an introduction and to invite them to the bathroom meeting on October 27th. They're also compiling a trails users group and their contact information to give updates on the multi-use trail update or trail development that we are working on. They did some travel along the Victoria County side of the trail this Saturday to take pictures to help with the promotion of the 90th anniversary or to work towards the 100th anniversary of the Cabot Trail opening. He also attended a DMAH session on marketing levies, which is very close to what Terry presented earlier. I also attended this session where the province had rolled this out. There are also some ongoing meetings and updates on DCB initiatives and opportunities to improve labor issues. And we also had a meeting earlier today, a housing meeting where we're trying to help with some of the labor issues that are happening around the county as well. In the recreation department, so they've been working on completing some disc golf research for some development of disc golf courses around the county. So you'll hear more about that when anything exciting and new comes out related to it. They're working on a Victoria County recreation contact list, and they've been in contact with a few different schools within Victoria County to develop and implement some new program ideas for their students. And on the community development side, as we heard earlier, the interest in Ingonish continues to be hot. So there are several different provincial and federal departments that are have some keen interest and working on some strategy work down there to keep things going, keep the momentum going down there. And they're also looking into some new programs from Nova Scotia CCTH's funding that was announced in the last over the last week or so. And a couple of other things. At our last meeting, we talked about how we are having some trouble filling some positions. And we are thinking we need to start promoting how great of a place it is to work at the county. So staff, I think it was last November that we went out on I think we called them a road show, that we went out and visited the different municipalities. We're thinking possibly this year we're going to go out and do a bit of a job fair. I think right now we have four positions, at least four positions that are listed on our website. And if nobody's looking at that, we feel we might be able to get some more candidates from people coming and talking to us. And so we might go out and have one north and one south, a job fair. And then we're also going to come up with an admin working group for next steps for where the future of our administrative offices related to the courthouse and where our next, if it's not here, where our next home should be. So just a few things. Yeah, okay, so we did get some information back related to the disaster fund relief program for the $250 or $500, whatever the province was giving out. And as long as the person or business providing the tree removal service is able to provide an official receipt, we will accept the application. The receipt would need to contain the name of the company or person providing the tree removal service, the date the services were provided, and it has to be after September 23rd, 2022, the address where the services were provided, the individual who purchased the services, the cost of the services, and it says handwritten receipts are acceptable. Open to all.
Just a comment on that, Warden. I had a call from a resident who has fairly large trees in his property at present. And if they were to fall, they would probably, well, they take out the power lines for sure. They're right next to the power lines. Probably affect 2, if not 3 houses in the immediate vicinity. So this is a person to me that is looking at preventative maintenance, right? Preparing for the next time. And I'm just wondering how would that qualify under that program you just mentioned, Dean?
So the program just says tree removal reimbursement.
So it doesn't say if they're standing or not.
Nope.
No. So it might qualify. Yep.
There's a name here also. There's a Jade Stuckley, if there are any questions.
Could you email?
We'll
that?
send you
Do we
out
have
that email.
Bruce?
Thank you, Fraser. It's a good point. We just received that information just within the last day or so. But I'll distribute it around. Any questions in regards to CAO's report this afternoon? Good. Thank you very much for your report. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break. We will reconvene in 10 to 12 minutes. Thank you.
Well, I said it's not.
Okay, welcome back to Victoria County Council meeting for October 17th. We've gone through the agenda. We are down to district concerns. And we'll start with district number 1. Councillor McNeil, please.
Thank you, Warden. I have a couple of concerns with Nova Scotia Public Works or TIR issues. I keep on calling them TIR issues. I'd like a letter sent to TIR concerning no break, Jake break signs on each end of the Wagmatcook First Nations. Complaints that it's very loud at night. I was in touch with Steve McDonald on this issue, and he said that the policy right now is they won't put these signs in an area that's above 50 kilometers. So I wonder if the letter could stay in this circumstance with the amount of population in the area. Could we have 2 signs on each end of the reserve? Yeah. On each side of the First Nation reserve. That's a motion that the letter.
Second.
Contrary minded, the motion is carried and the letter will be sent.
Also, patching throughout the area. I don't know what's going on throughout our area. It doesn't seem like much road work is being done. There, at that washout that was in Iona in the spring, they fixed it, but it's subsiding again. And there's a hole there on the turn, and it's really dangerous. Cars are starting to go on the other side of the road. Again, I've contacted TIR a number of times on this issue. They haven't been, nothing's been done. I sent another email today, so hopefully something will be done this week about it. There's also patching has to be done throughout the area before the asphalt plants are closed for the winter. And I've contacted Steve through email about that too. And one thing for council concern, I'd like a letter to be sent to a group that's trying to buy the land at Maskell's Harbor. Actually, they're trying to buy it and donate it. Well, also not donate it, but have the province help with the purchase of the land to be taken over by the province and as part of the Barra Forest and McNeil's Vale Provincial Park. I sent a letter as councillor already in favor of this. All the land around that area is protected with the park area, so it's only a small piece of land, and I'm just I'm in favor of that going towards the park.
So it's, you would like a letter in favor of
Yes.
from council. So that is a motion from Councillor McNeil. Do we have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Longva has seconded the motion. All in favor? Contrary minded, the motion is carried. The letter of support will be provided.
Thank you.
That it for you, Councillor? Deputy Warden Daphne.
Yes, thank you, Warden. Just hearing some concerns once again with Public Works, the highways in the area, washouts on Smoky, they're only small right now, but continue to get bigger, and Beach Crossing Road, we're hearing there's going to be some work, but anyway, I'll be in touch with Steve McDonald to get an update on those ones, but that still, as usual, seems to be the biggest concerns. I did want to make one mention, Ingonish and north of Smoky, I guess the whole Victoria County came together for the Hucklebuckle Festival in Ingonish on the weekend. Amazing event. They estimate between 800 and 850 people attended the pumpkin walk. Roughly about 130 pumpkins from everyone and their grandchild and grandson and grandfather, I guess, had a pumpkin done. So amazing evening for it. The weather was great. Food trucks were lined up galore. Saturday, all the events well attended. Lots of money was raised, and nothing but great comments from the whole festival, but looking forward to next year already. And I know
Okay.
they're already starting to plan for next year, but I just want to send out a congratulations to all the volunteers. And there's too many to mention. I mean, everyone's involved in it, but a great event. And that's it for District 6. Thank you.
Well done, and thank you. Councillor McLeod, anything from your district?
Yes, Warren, we have as you say, the meeting with NSHA and Thursday. Mr. McDonald from EHS came and give us a little more, explain us how the organization works. So I asked him if he couldn't come to council to just make a presentation to maybe start right now with how the organization works, their staff, and building relationship with them to have more conversations about how we can help them. So we can ask to come to council. That would be great.
Yeah, I would do that in the form of a letter of emotion. So
Oh,
it's been
okay.
moved by Councillor McLeod. We have a seconder for that, please. Deputy Warden Doffney has seconded that. Thank you.
We have just Jennifer about the home sport, so I would like if we can set up conversation in council about what she's proposing, because I think it's very interesting, and just to put it clear all this.
Let's have a meeting on the Meals Plus program.
And the men's program, yeah, okay. Thanks. And yeah, we can sit down with time and just to decide what we're going to do, right? And the Bedeka Academy approach about for first time in too many years, they have a hockey team, so they're asking for some support. So I talked to Councilor Lope and Warren Morrison if we can take for our district budget the total of $2,000, split in 3. So we'll to Bedeka Academy with the concept of hockey for the hockey. Bedeka Academy covered
High school hockey team?
high school, yeah.
And that's districts 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a motion. Do we have a seconder for that, please?
I make a motion.
That,
Seconded by Councillor Longbrow. All in favor? Contrary minded, the request was above $1,000, so that's why,
It's for the,
for the BEDAC
2,000.
2,000.
Yeah. It's for
Between
the
3
Academy
districts.
and Cabot High, so there's they're doing some teams there. And I have this maybe with the committee report, but I just do it now. We have a new good news from the federal government about the application we did with Victoria County Transit. They approve in principle our application for a new vehicle. So just to put in the minutes and thank you for the support for everybody.
Well done and good job on the committee to secure the funding for that bus. So well done on your behalf as well as chair.
Yeah, and that's it.
Thank you. Councillor Long, anything this evening?
yes, first I'd like to thank Steve McDonald and his crew for the work that they did on the Long Hill Road and also the Ben Bria Road and also the Big Harbor Road. They did some work, so I'm thankful for that. The Tarbert Vale Road is still in a state of disrepair. It's needs guardrails installed before the winter, and the approaches to the bridge need to be fixed as people are bottoming out going on and off the bridge. I'd also like to ask Steve McDonald when the lines will be painted on the road that was chip sealed recently on the North Shore, because it's very black and hard to see. I'd like to ask that Nova Scotia Power be called again in regard to the light I requested many months ago, when they're going to install it. The one at Tarbert Vale, Steph has already called on it once. She's aware of the light, and they said they were going to be on it, but they still haven't done it. So, and now it's at Halloween. It's going to go it's going to go back an hour, so it'll be getting dark at like 4:30. And he has children, a bunch of girls walking on the road in the morning and in the evening from school. Also, I'd like to remind Steve McDonald about the old Big Harbor Road sign that was requested 2 years ago. And it still has not been put there. And I think it's gone through council and everything's been done except for their part. Yes, I have. I've sent him this, I've contacted him many times about that one, but I will send these concerns to Steve, but I want to just have them in the minutes. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. They're duly noted. Counselor Organ.
I sent a request into Xena to send $500 out of my district budget to the Pinkalicious Cancer Fundraising in English. As Deputy Warden said, I'd like to congratulate the volunteers and organizers of the Hucklebuckle Festival. The pumpkin walk was amazing. It was, and the fireworks. And it's growing every year. So congrats to them. And also I'd like to take $500 out of my budget for the Hucklebuckle Festival. I think that's sent to Ryan Costello. Oh, English Development. So $500, please. Public Works, the road work was done in New Haven after the Fiona, but much more is needed to be done. We need so much rock from coastal erosion. And also I have been sending emails. I know this is not on their priority right now, but it is for White Point area for the no parking for the school bus. Tourists are parking there all the time and they feel the safety of their children getting off the bus. Sometimes the bus can't even get turned around. So if I'll be sending another email off to Steve for that. And that's it.
You, Counselor. Counselor Patterson, anything from your district this evening?
Thank you, Warden. Just a couple of things. First of all, I think people sent around an email earlier about having email problems, and I wrote back, everything was fine in Ross Ferry. You can't be living right. Councilor McNeil, if you're not getting road work, I'm getting it. You got it. God got it. So a little bit at a time. Anyway, October 8th, we had a Celtic Colors live Celtic Colors concert, the first time in 3 years. It was right back where it was. It was incredible. We had over 350 people attend a concert in Boulevard School from all over North America and probably all over the world. I go out in the lobby and talk to people to intermission and just see where they're from and what they think of it and so on. We had local people, Buddy McDonald, who's of course a legend in Cape Breton. Jordan, musician from Sydney, who was not really a Celtic singer, but he fit in like a glove. And as I mentioned to the CAO earlier, a mother and 4 sons from Mabu Coal Mines, I believe they're from, Joanne McIntyre. Gaelic singers was just absolutely fantastic. So any investment we make in Celtic Colors, I think, as Terry said, the dollars multiplied by quite a factor. Since I'm the last one, I want to make a notice of motion too. I've got it written down, Stephanie, so I'll give it to you when I'm finished. I would like to make a notice of motion that council undertake a more detailed analysis or post-mortem of the effects of Hurricane Fiona, determine what worked and what needs improvement. So I'd like to discuss that at the next meeting, how it would work. Like Lyle would obviously be included, of course, in his report in our last minutes. But I think we have to look at what did work, and I think a lot of things did work, but there were also things that probably need improvement. So I'd like to make that a notice of motion for the next meeting. Ward?
Thank you. Thank you, Counselor.
Okay, and just one other thing too.
Sure.
I forgot this, but I just wrote it down. The Ross Ferry Stewardship Society, which is the managing agent for the Ross Ferry Marine Park, is looking at the possibility of getting someone, this is into the future, but right now the land is owned by the Department of Natural Resources. And part of it is owned by Natural Resources and part of it is owned by Public Works, the old highway or road down to the ferry. And then the actual ferry was Natural Resources owns that. The Stewardship Society is exploring the possibility of acquiring or taking over that land. And one of the options might be that the municipality might engage in a land swap with the province and, do it kind of as a two-step thing. This is just way out in the future, but I just want to kind of put it out there now because there are discussions taking place. MLA Bain is aware of what this process might unfold as or whatever. So again, I just want to put it out so we have it in the minutes and that, we can think about how it may work if we do it in the future. Thank you. And there's no motion to make a notice of motion, right? I just tabled that and.
Yes,
we'll move it on
exactly.
next.
And it'll be a motion at the next meeting. Yeah. Thank you for that. District number 3, I don't have any motions tonight that was already made. I was going to make a motion about EHS coming, but Councilor McLeod has looked after that. And I just want to just very quickly just mention, we had a public meeting here a week ago Thursday with the community, with the District Health Authority. And I just want to thank the residents that came out. I want to thank the representatives from the District Health Authority. They came, they presented well. It was a good open dialogue with the community. Lots of concerns were addressed and lots of concerns remain. We were also in attendance with our local MLA and also the Minister of Health. So we want to acknowledge they were there as well. That meeting was followed up by a meeting that we had scheduled previously and was canceled because of the hurricane with the District Health Authority folks last Thursday, and there are some minutes from those meetings. So I would encourage anybody that wants to know what the conversation was about. It dealt with not only the Victoria County Memorial Hospital here in Bedeque, but Buchanan Memorial down in Neils Harbor. So it wasn't, although the meeting was held here, it contained information and concerns that councillors and the public had about both sites. So with that, we just want to acknowledge those folks that did participate. And as Councillor McLeod has made reference to, we have asked EHS to also come to a council meeting because that is a separate issue, separate of DHA, although they're connected at the hip. It's a different organization, and there's different questions and different information that I think we still need to find out how they operate and what the current status of ambulatory care is in Victoria County. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I don't have anything other than that. Just a quick report from that, attending those meetings. And I should also thank the councillors that attended the meeting in Bedeque as well. So, and understanding the ones from North wouldn't have the same interest that we would have. So with the 5 that were in attendance, appreciate that. And thank you. And the community thanks you for attending as well. So with that, the next item is, are there any motions tonight other than one? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Warden. Earlier today, we held a housing committee meeting. There were some recommendations made. Basically, Destination Cape Breton presented a proposal to work with the municipality to start working on some housing within Victoria County. Mainly at this point, one section is land and Ingonish that they're interested in. And there was a recommendation made by the committee at that time that land be provided to Destination Cape Breton to initiate a housing project in that area. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Housing Committee from this morning.
Have a second for that motion, please. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion is carried. Thank you. And I was remiss in that report about the here in the village that there was physicians were also representative was there at the public meeting as well, spoke very well to the issues. And let us not forget that if it wasn't for the work of those nurses and doctors and the support staff at both those locations, particularly the one in Bedeque, because of the pressure they're under from the traffic that's going through, we have to certainly recognize, and I think we should send them out a letter to the hospital so it captures all the staff that are there, doctors and nurses, the labs, just indicating that we as a municipality recognize that they maintain that facility while it was under pressure, and that we appreciate the amount of work that was required both on a personal and a professional basis during a very difficult time, and it's still an issue. So I'd make that a motion if I could, Deputy Warden.
Seconder for that motion? Second by Councillor McLeod. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded?
Thank
Motion
you.
passed.
Sorry about that. My apologies. I had it written down at the top of my list and I overlooked it. Did you have something you wanted to add, Councillor
No, I
Patterson?
just wanted to,
Just the night that they were, that they met with us on Thursday, it only been open 2 days. So just what feedback we received from them. Haven't heard any specifically, but maybe we can ask maybe one of the representatives to provide a report. We'll ask the local site manager, Chrissy Hines, to provide her an update. So she can do that in writing or to us, and maybe we'll request that. It's a good point. Thank you, Councillor. Is your mic on?
I wonder, is it possible to get a representative from Bell to come to council to meet with us? Well, especially what happened with Fiona.
Sure, we can ask.
And also with the projects that are going on for broadband throughout and.
Sure, you make it a motion, we can send a
I'll make
letter.
that a
So
motion that we try to find a representative from Bell. The last person that was here was probably 10 years ago when David Hashem was here. So,
Counselor, with that, we could probably
Yeah.
tell Leanne to call.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I believe I just got contact information. So we'll see what we can do, and that could be part of whatever postmortem Fiona
yeah.
meeting that we have. Great, that'd be great. Thanks.
So that was moved and seconded. All in favor? All right, Andy, that's it for motions. Sorry, yes, Council.
I'd just like to add, as Fraser said about Celtic Colors and how great it is. I did go to 4 of the after hour club, as I always volunteer there every year. And the talent, and it was just wonderful. It wasn't as busy at the after hours as other years because of Fiona. And a lot of people got scared that we blew away or something, but the talent and the amount of volunteers and people that put it on, I think they all need to be congratulated because it brings such a big economic spin to all of us in accommodation and restaurants and in the artisan shops and all of the islands. So I think it's a very worthwhile investment.
Maybe make a motion to send a letter to Celtic Colors congratulating them on another successful, especially in light of the.
I'll make that motion to send a letter to the organizers of Celtic Colors, congratulating them on the job well done again.
Great. Do you have a second for that, please? Second by Jackie.
I just want to
Councillor.
add that as I'm working right now, you can see because we sponsor the shuttle, right? So they take it. They're very happy about that. The people very enjoy and feel it's a good investment. It's just
Good, good to hear. It's good to get positive feedback. It's
It is.
Sorry, anything else? Great, thank you for those comments. So it's moved by Councillor Longo, second by Councillor Organ. All in favor? Contrary minded, motion's carried, and we'll send the correspondence to Celtic Colors. Any correspondence tonight?
No, all correspondence has been sent on your behalf, and any correspondence we've received, I have forwarded on.
Okay, we didn't add anything to the agenda. The next meeting is scheduled for November, I'm sorry, Councillor McNeil.
Just one thing regarding the next meeting. I asked that a meeting could be held in a moment prior because it was so busy at the Highland Village over the summer and fall. They asked if it could be delayed till November. So if the next meeting or maybe the meeting after, we could contact Rodney. And we have a meeting at the Highland Village.
Yep,
Okay.
we'll keep either or.
I don't know if your mic was on there, Paul.
That's on. It was.
Is it? Okay. Okay.
Okay, and we'll check. So next one, November 7th, Deputy Warden will be in charge. I will be in Calgary, Alberta. So visiting family. Might be a shorter meeting for sure. That's the date of our next meeting. Was there any questions from anybody that joined us online?
Just let me just check. And no questions online.
No questions. So we have a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councilor McNeil to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you.